Hey guys, just a quick reminder. There is 10 days left in giveaway. We'll be drawing one comment for the prize, 1 year of Curiosity Stream subscription. Good luck, and big thanks to all who already reached out to me and supported me throughout this period. Let's get back to the video. Arnold Sodeman, the schoolgirl strangler, terrorized Australia in the early 20th century. Between 1930 and 1935, he preyed on innocent children, confessing to the murders of 4 young victims. Sodeman's reign of terror ended in 1936 when he was executed at Pentridge Prison in Victoria. His death marked a chilling chapter in Australian criminal history, as he became the second of 11 individuals to face the gallows at Pentridge Prison after the closure of Melbourne Jail in 1924. Arnold Sodeman's early life was a haunting prelude to his dark and sinister path. Born in 1899 in Victoria, his family history was marred by tragedy and instability. His mother's battles with amnesia cast a shadow over their household, while his father and grandfather met their unfortunate ends in mental institutions. At the tender age of 18, Sodeman's descent into a life of crime began. He found himself behind the unforgiving bars of a reformatory prison, accused of larceny. However, this was only the beginning of his criminal journey. Shortly after his release, he committed a heinous act, robbing and injuring the station master at Surrey Hills railway station. The consequences were severe, as Sodeman was sentenced to 3 years of grueling hard labor in prison. But the walls of incarceration could not hold him for long. Sodeman managed a daring escape, only to be recaptured and slapped with an additional 12 months of hard labor, further cementing his reputation as a hardened criminal. Upon his eventual release, Sodeman tried to carve out a semblance of a normal life. He ventured into various laboring jobs, first in Melbourne and later in Gippsland. He even found love and married Bernice Pope in Collingwood. Their union brought forth a daughter named Joan in 1928. And despite the darkness that lurked within him, their marriage seemed to be a happy one. Though Sodeman battled inner demons, grappling with bouts of depression and frequent episodes of drunkenness, he never turned his violence towards his own family. Instead, he was known to be hard-working, mild-mannered, and amiable, possessing a surprising generosity that belied the sinister shadows that would eventually engulf him. In a grim chapter of Australian history, Arnold Sodeman embarked on a horrifying spree of abductions and murders that would haunt the nation. It was on the fateful day of November 9, 1930, when Sodeman descended upon the local playground where innocence thrived. There, he targeted a 12-year-old schoolgirl named Mina Griffiths. Cunningly, he offered coins to the other girls, instructing them to fetch ice creams from a nearby shop, while he lured Mina away on a sinister errand. When her friends returned, they found an empty playground, and Mina had vanished without a trace. Tragically, Mina Griffith's lifeless body was discovered 2 days later in an abandoned building at Ormond. She had been brutally strangled, then post-mortem bound and gagged with her own clothing. The darkness within Sodeman continued to grow. On January 10, 1931, he struck again, this time abducting 16-year-old Hazel Wilson and snuffing out her life in a similarly gruesome manner. Hazel's lifeless form was found in the haunting suburb of Ormond, her hands bound behind her back with parts of her own clothing. Sodeman's reign of terror persisted, and on January 1, 1935, he claimed his third victim. Ethel Belshaw, a 12-year-old girl, was the unfortunate soul who crossed his path in the seaside town of Inverloch. She too fell prey to his depravity, meeting a grim end after being strangled and bound. December 1, 1935, marked the horrifying climax of Sodeman's rampage. He abducted 6-year-old June Rushmer, the daughter of a co-worker, from a local park. The following day, her lifeless body was discovered less than 2 kilometers from her Leongatha home. Like his previous victims, June had suffered the same harrowing fate, bound, gagged, and strangled. Fate finally caught up with Sodeman when, during a morning tea break on his work crew repairing roadways, a co-worker made a seemingly innocent comment about seeing him near the crime scene. Sodeman's response was shockingly vehement. a stark departure from his typically mild demeanor. The intensity of his denial aroused suspicion, and the workers promptly alerted the police. Under questioning, Sodeman's facade crumbled, and he confessed to the gruesome crimes in harrowing detail. His knowledge of the heinous acts could only be possessed by one who had been present, leaving no doubt about his guilt. The schoolgirl strangler's reign of terror had come to a chilling end. The Leongatha courthouse was packed as the inquest into the tragic death of June Rushmer unfolded. Government pathologist Dr. Mollison delivered a grim assessment, revealing that the young girl's hands had been bound behind her back with a piece of cloth, a blood-stained garment shoved into her mouth, and a torn sock tied around her neck. Bruises marred her lifeless body, and Dr. Mollison attributed her demise to suffocation. Testimonies painted a chilling picture. Nancy Viola Smith, age 12, recounted playing with Rushmer on the Leongatha Reserve, recalling her departure from the park at 7:15 p.m. Another witness, William Henry Money, claimed to have spotted Sodeman riding his bicycle in the reserve's direction at the same time, noting the unsettling expression on his face. Vincent Desmond Ryan added further intrigue, reporting an unidentified man with a young girl on the front of his bicycle in the vicinity, although the distance obscured a clear view. Senior Detective O'Keefe then disclosed Sodeman's confession. In a bone-chilling account, Sodeman admitted encountering June Rushmer, initially agreeing to give her a ride home. However, a sinister turn of events unfolded, with Sodeman pursuing the terrified girl into the bush. He confessed to strangling her and muffling her screams with her own clothing. The coroner committed Sodeman for trial, setting the stage for a gripping legal battle. In February 1936, after a two-day trial, the jury delivered a guilty verdict for murder. Medical experts, including Dr. A.J.W. Philpott, Dr. R.T. Allen, and psychiatrist Dr. Reginald Ellery, testified that Sodeman suffered from a severe mental disorder, leading to an uncontrollable obsessional impulse, exacerbated by alcohol. They argued that he was not responsible for his actions during the murders, citing his intoxicated state. Despite the jury's rejection of the insanity defense, Judge Charles Gavin Duffy sentenced Sodeman to death for the murder of June Rushmer. The judge emphasized the distinction between opinions on physical matters and those concerning the mind. Sodeman's grim fate was sealed, marked by the haunting echoes of his crimes and a family history tainted by insanity. Amidst the ominous shadows of Arnold Sodeman's impending execution for the murder of June Rushmer, a glimmer of hope emerged in the form of legal appeals. The Argus reported on April 24, 1936, that an English King's Counsel, Mr. D.N. Pritt, K.C., had been enlisted to advocate for Sodeman's case before the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council. Sodeman's solicitor, Mr. C.H. Audie, diligently orchestrated the legal endeavor, preparing a petition for special leave to appeal and necessary documents for submission to England. Simultaneously, Mr. Audie appealed to Premier Mr. Dunstan for a further reprieve until the Privy Council could determine Sodeman's case. The current reprieve was set to expire on May 4th, the very day scheduled for his execution. The expectation was that the Executive Council would grant the requested reprieve, awaiting a report from the Crown Law Department and the Cabinet's decision. Sodeman's earlier appeal against his conviction had been unsuccessful, grounded in three principal arguments: the alleged improper admission of evidence, misdirection by the trial judge regarding insanity and related legal matters, and commentary by the prosecution and the judge on Sodeman's decision not to testify. However, Sodeman himself harbored a different perspective. He had vehemently declined any reprieve due to the fear that if he were spared, he might continue his murderous spree. During his final days, he found an unlikely companion in Edward Cornelius, who faced the gallows for the murder of Reverend Cecil in Fitzroy. The grim culmination of Sodeman's story came on June 1st, 1936, when he was hanged and buried at Pentridge Prison in Coburg. An autopsy revealed that he suffered from leptomeningitis, a degenerative brain disease exacerbated by alcohol, offering a chilling glimpse into the mind of a killer. Let me know if you would like me to cover Edward Cornelius' case as well, since he is not considered a serial killer. but I find his case rather interesting too. Decades later, in 1965, the Australian television series Homicide dedicated an episode titled A Lonely Place to the Sodeman case. This episode, aired in November 1965, served as a sobering reminder of the importance of safeguarding children. Unlike typical episodes, A Lonely Place concluded without providing explicit details about the legal outcome, leaving viewers to ponder the unresolved fate of the offender. On the 75th anniversary of Ethel Belshaw's murder, the Leongatha newspaper, the Great Southern Star, interviewed Maureen Lewis, née Keegery, who had been the Sodeman family's neighbor in 1935. Lewis recounted a chilling near-miss, as she had accompanied the Sodemans on the day of Belshaw's murder. Sodeman had wanted to take her for an ice cream, but Mrs. Sodeman insisted that he also take his daughter Joan along, a demand he had refused. Lewis reflected on the haunting realization that it could easily have been her fate on that tragic day. Truly disturbing case, but I want to hear from you. What do you think about these killers, and what moves could be made in that time period in order to prevent such cases in the first place? Reach to me in the comments down below, like the video if you liked it, and subscribe if you are not yet subscribed. I am Alex, and this is Conundrum. Stay curious and stay safe.